commission component amount. So that's the total gist about NVL function. So basically, if you want to query in a dual table, dual is another Oracle table which is owned by sys schema, and this has only one column, and generally it's used to query or test any function. So example, let's say this. Right now we are going to test NVL function. I'm saying that if it's null, replace it with 0. Suppose if it's not null, let's say 1. This will give you the exact value which it was passed. So that is our NVL function, and like this can be used. But before going to the next slide, if you guys have any question, like how to use it or like why you need this, because this NVL can be implemented using case structure too. But the only thing is that you have to, case structure is first of all, you have to think about all different conditions, like what are the different expressions, and then different tributaries to case, and then you have to put the else structure too. So it's more like the number of line of code increases in that, because even that would do the same thing. And NVL is like, if you know the function, what the function does, you just pass the argument and you will get the value. So yeah, before moving to the next slide, if you guys have any question.
What happens if you don't know what specific value you want to replace the null values with? Is there some way to just mark the null values somehow?
So yeah, like suppose you don't know what to replace this with, right? Let's say example in this case, you don't know what to replace this with. So what I would do, like if I was there, so I would say like, if I have to report it to some the business owners, I'll say that I'll pass a string saying that when the person reads the report, that person will get to know, okay, not. That person will come to know that these rows are, okay, we have to do 2 characters. So the person will get to know that this is actually null. And if it's not null, you will have the actual value. If you have to present this report, right, to the business owners, you will tell that, okay, this employee doesn't have a commission percentage. But ideally, it doesn't have the term commission percentage means that doesn't have, it means most likely it's 0. So that's why I replace as 0.
Excuse me, why did you add 2 characters?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, example. So in Oracle, what happens, like the data types are in hierarchy. So first it is numbers, and first it's binary, then numbers, and then string. So example this way, right? This commission percentage is actually a number, column. And you are trying to say that a number column, if it doesn't have, then it's a character. Okay. What we are saying that because we know that this is we want a character value right now. So I have to be consistent. Like suppose if this is a number, it will give an error saying that it's the data mismatch or something like that, invalid number. Because this is a character and this is a number. So
I see.
We like in the same data type. So you have to put 2 characters. That's what I did. I just changed the data type of this as character commission percentage.
Thank you.
Example, if you see, right now, if you go and insert this record, like all these records into some table, this would go as character and not as number. Basically, if it was a like example, let's say I have this here. We were supposed to discuss this point. So example, this one, right? Another table is called other employees and manager ID. What I'm saying that if the manager ID is null, then the manager is actually 1. This one, what happens, like this is a number and this is a character. It worked because because it's a number. So what Oracle does, it elevates and it matches the data type. However, if you had done the same with different, like suppose example, this one, right? Let's say this one. So the first argument is character and the second argument is number. So it doesn't, like, because characters in the hierarchy, character is above the number. It doesn't, so this one cannot degrade itself to number. That's why you have to use the toChar function. So the best safe way is that always have a same data type across in the parameter, all the parameters. I hope I was able to answer that.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, it's always safe to have the same data type across. Any other questions related to this page, this slide? So I'm taking this as no. Next, what we are saying that NVL can be used as argument of another function. So we can also use this as a can be used as an argument to another function. So example, this one. So suppose I have to calculate the min salary, and there may be columns who don't have salary. They might be null. So in that case, what I'll do, so example, run without NVL. The minimum salary. It seems like this table has everything as a salary. So basically what I actually meant here is, like, say, let's say do average. Okay. So if I have to calculate the average salary of employees, some employees might be like, they just join at the point when you calculated the average salary, they might not be getting a salary, right? So we have to replace that with 0. So what I'll do, I'll use the NVL function and I'll say that all those people whose salary are null, I'll replace it with 0 so that we can get the average salary. So this line meant that we can use this as argument. The NVL can be used as argument to the other function. Like here it's being used as an argument to min function. Actually, it was average. So any question on this point? Next, suppose use case is like get the employees whose salary is 17,000 or null. So there are two approaches. So one is like we use the or clause in the where structure. Another one is NVL. So this is how we'll go, right? We'll do this. Now I want the same in using NVL. So I'm doing nothing. I'm just saying that if the salary is there, compare it with 17,000. If it's not there, put it as 17,000. So even it means that the one with our null is also getting selected. Can you also use this in the where clause too, not only in select. So this is something like we don't have to think about the or part. We just default it to the one which is on the right side. So any questions on this point, in-will function? Okay, taking this as now. The next one is NVL2. So this is nothing but extension of NVL function. In this, what we do that if the argument which we are passing is not null, then we'll get some value. And if it is null, then we'll have a different value. Basically, like if it happens to be a null, then we'll get this one. Third argument. And if it happens to be a not null value, then we'll get this value. Example, if I want to test this in dual table. Value if not null, let's say if it's null. This right now, the first argument is not a null value, right? So when we select, if it was a null value, let's say if it so this is just an extension. Earlier, what was happening in NVL? There were only two arguments. One was the value which we are going to test, and the other the default value we are going to get. So if it was null, then we used to get the default value. If it was not null, then we were getting the value which we passed. But this is just an extension. What we are saying that if it's not null, then use this. And if it's null, then use this. And we have a use case for this, like why do we have a separate function for this? So any questions on like how does it work? Let me know if I'm going fast. I'm taking this as norm. Okay. So we'll go by this one. There's a use case for this. Earlier we saw this salary and commission percentage table in, columns in. So what I have to get the net salary. So net salary is nothing but salary plus commission percentage into. This is the salary, net salary. If I have to use the NVL2 function, what I'll do, let's say if commission percentage is not null, then use this as your net salary. If it's null, then use this as your net salary. So 17,000 was the salary, commission percentage was null, so the net salary is 17,000. Similarly, if it's 7,700, the net salary becomes 7,700 because commission percentage is null. If I go further down, yeah, let's see this one. So 14,000 is salary, commission percentage is 0.4, then this net salary is 14,000 into 0.4 into 14,000. So basically, we could have achieved this using the case or the NVL function. But because we have this, the Oracle gives you a flexibility to use in one function where you just pass one argument and you get a default value when it's not null and a default value when it's null. So it's, if you see, it's just an extension of NVL function, just adding one more parameter to it. And it adds meaning to that function. So just let me know if you have any queries on this slide. I'm not going through the slides, yeah. And also one more thing, like try to make all these three parameters in the same data type, or you may encounter that the other error, the one which we saw in NVL function. So any questions on this slide? Okay, I'm taking that as now. And let me know if I'm going very fast so that you can stop. Okay, next is coalesce function. So coalesce, if you go by the literal meaning, it means that it collects the value and present. That's what the literal meaning is. So it is like you accept all the arguments and returns the first one that evaluates not null. So if you think, again, this can be implemented using case structure, but Oracle provides you one function called coalesce. So what it does, it takes n number of arguments and it will return you the first one, whichever is not null. So let's say, suppose argument in our table, there are n columns and the third one happens to be a not null. So the result of this query would be argument 3. So example, if I show you. Let's say this is null. This is the null. Let's say this is my first. And this happens to be my final argument. That's so when I do this, I'll get MSPA. Why? Because this was the first one encountered. Like suppose there was one more here. Let's say 2021. So still you will get MSPA. This was the first one. This was the first not null encountered in this list. So like it can be used, we can implement this using the case structure, but yeah, it provides you a simple function. And the best use case for this is like, let's say, I have every employee has 3 different kind of phone numbers. It may or may not have. So suppose the requirement is that you get the contact info, as in like get the phone number of a person. And it doesn't matter which phone number it is. But there can be a situation like a person might have multiple phone number, or maybe like say not at all a phone number, or maybe just one phone number, right? And the requirement is that your criteria is like first try to get the home phone number. If it's not there, then get the cell phone number. If it's not there, then get the work phone number. So what I'll do, I'll use the coalesce function. So this person had two different phone numbers, work phone being null. So what it will do, it will contact info will be the first one because that was not null. If you go by this one, if you go for this row, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, this one. And if the last one is that. If the last one is the actual phone number and the remaining two are null, then you'll get the last one. And if all are blank, then obviously you'll get blank. Probably we can use something like we are getting the same error which we encountered earlier. What happens, like if this has a phone number, it will display. This also has this one. This also has this. Doesn't have, then I'm using no phone because I'm using the NVL function to default it to no phone if I don't find any. So the most important thing is that we once we get the requirement, we should be knowing what's the hierarchy going to be, like which is the preferred phone number. It's a phone and then cell, home and then cell and then work phone. So that's how the coalesce function works. Any questions on coalesce function? And this is very handy, like in if you go to the real projects, like you won't be building a case structure for this, because if you have, suppose say like 5 arguments, you have to have like 5 different when conditions in your case structure. And that becomes like the number of line of code increases, also the because once a code is written, you have to manage the code too, even that increases. So thinking about that, yeah, coalesce function is of great importance. And this, I know that I worked on a project in state of Iowa and I encountered this scenario, and we did this using this function, coalesce function.
Hey, Amar, I actually do have a question. This is Leah. So with that, say it varied based on like who it was. So maybe somebody preferred you call their home phone versus their cell phone. So if it varied by person to person, how would you mitigate that?
So in that case, right, like suppose, let's say, employee number 1 wants cell phone number as, so let's say this person preferences cell phone number being the first, right? That's your question, right? Okay. So I'll do like if employee number, or I'll use a case structure, if is equal to 1, then my coalesce function will change. I'll use something like for others, you want whatever it is earlier. Say for others, it's home, cell, and then work. So I'm just changing for one particular person.
Okay. So then probably would a better way be to just like have another column that kind of just says what their preference would be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a better
Right.
approach.
Okay, thank you.
See, like we have to maintain this consistency of data type. So for the first one, it's preferring the cell, and for remaining, it's doing the one which we already had, home, cell, and work. And the one which you said, right, like to add another column. Add another column saying phone preference. And that will determine like which one to go for, like that will determine for each employee.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Any questions on coalesce function? how it works. And as we saw that we come across that inconsistent data type. So try to maintain the same data type across the arguments. I'm taking that as no. So this slides talk about like data type of the argument should be consistent. The qualis function should be called with similar data type. Similar results can be achieved using the case structure, but the number of line of codes will increase to accommodate a simple logic. Yeah. So I'm just talking about like why data type is important, and then what happens like we can use the case structure too, but it will be like the code will be cumbersome, and then number of line of code will increase. Next is okay. Okay, this is the same piece of code which I did. Yeah, this is what I'm saying, like how the case structure would look like if you had. Suppose the similar thing what we did earlier, right? The qualis structure. If we were supposed not to use the qualis function, then this was how the code would look like. And just for one, we could have replaced this case structure with qualis function. Any questions on this, like why qualis is better than case in this kind of scenario? Okay, I'm taking that as no. Next is extract function. So there can be scenario like you just want to extract the year component of a date, or month component, or date component, right? Example, let's say go back to this. So you want to, this is a dual table. As I said, it's a table in Oracle, on all Oracle database, and it's just basically used to test the functions. So this right now we are going to use extract function, and sysdate is another. I would call it's a parameter. When queried, it gives you the date of that system, like where it's. So this will give you today's date. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to extract the date component from the sysdate. So this will give me 2021. So it's very easy to do this, right? Like if you have, if we had to do this like using a substring function, I'll show you the code like how it would look like, and it's like really very cumbersome kind of code when I show you that. Suppose if you want to extract month, similarly, if you want to do, let's say, day. Let's say if you want to do hour. This function is very important when it's what you call, when you have to do that transaction data, like when you have to see what was the amount spent between 2 different dates or 2 different years. That's when this extract function is very important. Okay, this is sys timestamp. So what happened, like sysdate, it doesn't have a timestamp. So that's why we are getting this invalid extract field or extract source. Source doesn't have a hour part or minute or whatever. So there is another variable called, not variable, another value, which is timestamp. This gives you, along with date, it also gives hour and see. So it is 5:37, 51, all these components it's giving. We want to extract hour out of this. So I'll next is how the code would look like if you were asked to use the substring function. This is how we were getting the year portion. If I have to extract the year component, this is how the code would look like. See, first what you have to do, you have to change into a character because it's a date. The sysdate is actually a date data type. You have to change into a character. Then you have to use the substring function to go to the 7th position, which is this. And then from there, you extract 4 characters. So this is how you would do if you were not to use extract function, but extract function is very simple. You just use this. And on top of that, like when you use the more function you use, you actually deteriorate the performance of the database. So here we are using, first we are changing it to 2char and then we are using substring. So we already have an extract function. Why not use this? Similarly, for month component, you have to do this. For day component, you have to do this. But in extract function, we just have to do this. Fetch the month component. Yeah, so it's like very handy, this function. Yeah, this, so I'm saying that this can be alternatively be done using the substring function, but then again, it's like cumbersome, and like if you see, you have to know the positions of each. So anything else on this? Anything else? Function or?
I just wanted to recheck. Going back to your query, if you go back to Apex, you mentioned extract month from sysdate, but you have mentioned as year component. So
okay, yeah.
Does it still give the results?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I have to change this.
Okay.
In the query which I wrote here was a year component. I should have changed that too.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hi, Amar. I have one question. So can you use extract function to calculate the age given date of birth?
Can you repeat that? What is that?
I wanted to know if you can calculate age using extract function when date of birth is given.
Yeah. So let's say. Extract function using date of birth is given. Let's say date of birth is.
Yeah.
This mm. Okay, so this becomes your number of days. I don't know about extract function, but I'm thinking like it can be done using this. But yeah, I mean, if it's there, I have to check that.
Okay.
E65. I'll take that as a question and come back on this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other question on extract function? Okay, I'm taking that as no. The next section is Oracle Analytical Query and Functions. So analytical function computes aggregate value based on group of rows, and this differs from regular aggregate functions like average, sum, min, max, as they return single row for each group. So what I mean to say that if you can recall this average and sum and all these functions, when we do the aggregate function, when we do the group by and having and all those things, we only get one row for each group, right? But what if we ask that along with group also get the details of the person who belongs to that group? So what I mean, if I go back to, let me go to the next slide. So suppose if I want to get the product quantity by product ID, average quantity by product ID, I'll use this, right? Now my question is that this is the average quantity, I agree, but I also want the product information along with this. So you would write a query something like, on we'll name this as average quantity. This is what you would do to get me the product line information along with the average quantity, right? You will join the, it's kind of self-join, but on the basis of we create a temporary table or view and we'll join this, right? Right before this, we were getting only the product ID and its average quantity. We were only getting product ID and the average quantity. And for each product ID, I'm just getting one row along with the aggregate function results. My question was that how do I get the information related to product ID along with the average quantity? I would have done this thing, right? I would have joined the order table, order item table along with the group by query and join on the basis of product ID because both of them have product ID. But this can be achieved using an analytical function. So if you just have to do this, and this is like very helpful. We'll come across a cumulative also, which is so what it's doing average quantity. And this is a keyword over like what it is considering while doing a partition by. So partition by is what it does. It segregates all the records on the basis of this group. You can call it as like it groups on the basis of product ID. So if there are 10 items which belong to a certain product ID, they'll all be grouped together. And on top of that, the average will be calculated. And order by is the way you want the, like how you want to order that. So it will get both the information. If you compare the earlier query with this one, it's so simple, right? Basically, you have to do the aggregate function, which you are going to use on what column you are going to use. And then this is the most important part, which is partition by. On what basis you are going to do the group by. So in our requirement, we had to do on the basis of product ID because our average is getting calculated on basis of that. So we are just using two lines of code and just getting everything, all the information. So any questions on this one? So if we see like your product ID, let's see. Okay, yeah, let's see this one, right? 1797, 1797, 1797. There are three different three different items belonging to this product. So what it did a grouping on this product ID and it calculated the average of the quantity, but only for these three. Similarly, it would have done for any other, like for one, let's say this one, 1808. It did for this one too, and it calculated 14.5. Similarly for 1820. So any questions on this one? Like we'll cover more on this. There is one more slide, I think so, which will cover the same thing, but in like the use case is different. I'm taking that as no. Next, okay. So let's say, suppose, example, same thing, right? If I have to calculate the minimum age of Twitter user in a state. I'm doing a group by in state and minimum age. But what if I want to know who all belong to that state? Also, that also I want to know in the same query. So I would have done that again. The last thing, the earlier we did, we would have put this in a subquery and then have join the state. Right? That's what we would have done. But we could have done the using this one. What we're doing, first we are calculating minimum age for a minimum age in that group. So if you see, minimum age is 15. So we got minimum age for each record. And along with that, we are also getting all the information of that person. And if you want, and also if you want to know who's the who's the person with minimum age. So obviously this person, like Eric, is of age 23, but he belongs to a group of state Iowa whose minimum age is 15, right? The minimum age of that group is 15. But I want to know who is the person with minimum age. So we just, what we do is like we name this column as minimum age. Yeah, let me put this in a minimum age, and I'm saying whose minimum age is equal to age. So this person would get selected, this one. Because this person belonged to the same group, Iowa, and the minimum age is 15. So I'm saying that minimum age is equal to age of that person. So that will give me the person who is of minimum age in that group. And if you had to write the same query, like it would have been like maybe 15, I don't know, like maybe it would have been a bigger query. But with this, what we are doing, we are partitioning it on the basis of Iowa. Get the minimum age. We name it as minimum age. And then we are saying, and then we are putting this in a different, like we are encapsulating this in a different select. And then we are saying minimum age is equal to age. Let me know if I'm going very fast. Can I move to the next slide? Which I believe is the last one. Yeah. Okay. So just like different aggregate function, the one which we covered in agenda, like these are different aggregate function which we can apply in partition by clause. So the last one I thought of covering the first value. This is not an aggregate function, but yeah, it can be used along with the partition by. So this, what it does, like first of all, it returns the first value in that ordered set. So let's say if I want to get the salary difference of an employee with lowest salary in a department. So you got the question, right? Let's say there's a department called HR and there are 5 people in that department, HR department, and one is with a salary of $10 and others a salary of, let's say 15 or 14 or whatever. So I want to calculate how each person is, if like how much they are getting more than the one who is getting the least. Okay, so you can use this with simple. So what I'm saying, like employee, selecting all these information from employee, and then I'm saying get the first value on the basis of salary, but partition by department number and order by salary ascending. What this would do, let me first comment this one. I'll just. So this is the least salary in this department. See, 10. In this department, least salary is 860. So I'm getting 860. So what I did, I just got on the basis of partition by, and I'm grouping on department number, getting the first value of that salary, and I'm using order by salary. We could have used the main function too, but I just wanted to show like how we can use the first value function. So I'm doing order by salary ascending. So what it does, first it does the partition by, and because we're doing order by salary ascending, this would go on the top, 860 would go on the top. And then I'm just commenting this part. I'm using the same expression, and then I'm subtracting the salary. So what this will do, it will tell me the difference from the least. So this is what it's doing. First, what it did the partition by on the basis of department number. It got the first value in the salary column by ascending it, ordering by its ascending. Then it got 860. Then it's subtracting from the salary. So basically, we are doing salary minus the minimum. So salary minus the minimum, so it's 340 and this 1800, 940. So this is how we'll get the difference between the salary between the least, the person who is earning the least in that department. And it has more variant, like if you go on Oracle document, you will find more documents on this partition by, and it's very helpful. Like with one line of query, we were able to do this, like we're just using one select and we're getting a lot of information. If we had to use the joining on the same basis of group by, it would have been like minimum 10 line of queries.
So Umar, can first value be used for characters also? Like
yeah, I think so. If you want,
non-numeric.
I'm just using random, like no use case. Let's see if it can be used. I think so, it can be used. Yeah, it can be used. But the meaning would change, right? So let's say.
So how is it sorting? Like if I choose first value for employee name, how is it getting sorted?
This is of salary actually, if you see.
Oh, okay.
So that's why you have to use it wisely, like first value and order by.
Mm-hmm.
3 minutes. There's another one which I wanted to cover. Okay, so this slide I left. Sorry, I'm like, this is the last slide. So this, what it does, you will get the cumulative salary in that department. Just imagine you had to write the same query using regular SQL. It would be like easily 15, 16, or maybe more than that. What we are doing, we're getting the cumulative salary in that employees within that department. So this is the department number 10, 1800. We add this 3000. We add this, it becomes 3860. Now the next department is 20. We add this, it becomes 2000. We add this, it becomes 2700. We add this, it becomes 3400. So you see, like it's so useful. It's just imagine writing this query using the regular SQL. Yeah, any questions on this? Sorry, I had a lot to cover. I didn't get a lot of time to cover your questions.
So I have a very basic question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot save your queries in SQL, right? You just, if you need them, you should copy them to a text file or something.
So there is a way you can do it in the, so like suppose if I was to save this query and not in file, I can save this query in database too. So what I'll do, like let's say I'll say create, and I'll give a meaningful name. Let's say cumulative salary. Okay. What it's doing, it's creating a view.
Mhm.
Your view is created. Next time, if you want to query, like you don't want to write the query again, right? That's what your main intention is. You just do this. So it's actually doing the thing which this query was doing. If at all you want to read what the query, so just do describe.
Mhm.
Easy to do in yeah, here is your SQL.
Okay.
This is a SQL. On top of that, you created a view. What view will do, it will, it's like you don't have to read at the query view. That's if you want to define, it's one of the main attributes of view.
And how do you use the like the table you create? Do you export it to Python, or because you are like creating those tables, selecting and stuff to use it somewhere?
Oh, you mean to say this?
The results you get, I mean.
I didn't get the question. Is that what you're saying, that how do you save the results?
Yeah, how do you use them? Do you use them in SQL still, or do you export them to Python?
I as of now I haven't done, like basically there is an option in SQL Developer, like you right click and import into a table, but because this is a web page, I don't think so it allows. You just right click and import. In SQL Developer it does. I don't know about this tool. You have to check in different here. Yeah, I don't know exactly. Because this is a web page, so I believe it won't allow. Unless there is some other tool here in Oracle Apex.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody, any questions?
Okay, I
No
think we're
questions,
ready.
Amar, but really thank you for the session. It was very informative.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I could have covered more, but I think so even 1 hour was less. I was thinking that I'll have 30 minutes left when I'm done, but no, it was not like that.
All right, Amar, thank you
If
so much.
you guys have any question, just email me. And I have Purvika's question.
Thanks, Amar. One of the questions, just wrapping up here, I think somebody did request that if you could share the slides. So
Yeah.
if you're okay with that, we might just, I think Sarah was saying we'd post it and access it that way. So on the website.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so
Thank you, Amar.
Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
End Guru.